Hello everyone, hello everyone, hello everyone. Let me welcome you to Medzone African Motives. We are on Business Studies Grade 10, whereby we are going to do Term 1 revision, and we are going to look at an AC questions, which you know very well that is Section C. So the paper that we are going to prepare ourselves with, it was written in 2025. It was written in 2025. This is in relation to grade 10. So that is that. So let us move on now straight to the section C, which is our AC question. So that is that. We are on our section C right now. So as it says, answer any one question in this section. So that is the instruction that we're given, that you are to answer one question. But we are going to attend both of question 5 and question 6. So we are given a passage or a scenario where it says a well-defined business culture is a key for every business success. A clear understanding of the meaning and components of the market environment is essential for businesses. Competition now is an aspect of market environment that poses challenges to business. So this is the passage that we're given. So now we are told that keeping in mind the above statement, the one that we have just read, write an essay on the following aspects. So we are given the aspects that we are going to write our essay based on. But before we can even go to those aspects, don't ever forget that when you write an essay question, you are first going to start with introduction, then comes body, which is built up with these given aspects, then conclusion. That is how our essay is structured. Hope we are together on that. So the aspect that we are given on question 5 are the following. The first one outlined the importance of business culture. Outline the importance of business culture. The second one, elaborate on the meaning of market environment. Then the third one, discuss 4 components of market environment. 4 components of market environment. The last one is suggest reasons why competition poses challenges to business. All these aspects that we are given here, they are here in the statements. They are here in this scenario that we're given, in this passage that we're given. So let us quickly attend to this question 5. So here we are with our answers on question 5, section C, as you know that is section C. So question 5, which is the business environment, micro and market environments. So like I've said, we're going to start with what? Introduction. Introduction. So let's quickly attend to that, to those statements that were given under introduction. It says organizational culture defines and differentiates business from others. It defines and differentiates business from others. So meaning to say organizational culture reflects the values, beliefs, and where the business operates, and where the business operates, where the business operates. So that is that. Where the business, making it unique. Don't forget that. Making it unique. So that is why we're saying it defines and differentiates the business from others. That is when you're saying it reflects values, beliefs, and way the business operates. So it makes it to be different from other businesses. That is what we're saying, making it unique. So that is that. For example, that we can give there a company that values innovation, encourages employees to suggest new ideas. So that is going to differentiate that business from other business. So another point under introduction is that business need to interpret the meaning of market environment so that they use it to classify challenges they face now. So meaning to say, by analyzing external factors, business can identify threats and opportunities. Do you get that point clearly? So you're going to do this by analyzing, by analyzing external factors. By analyzing external factors, then you're saying business can identify threats. Business can identify threats. Can identify threats. Can identify threats and opportunities. And opportunities. So that is that. So for example, a business studies customer trends before launching a new product. That is why we are saying by analyzing external factors. Now you can be able to identify what are the threats or opportunities that are there in the market. So let us move on. Components of market environment helps business to locate challenges and be able to respond to them effectively. So we are saying components of market environment help business to locate challenges. That is what we are trying to say. So it means that we are trying by almost to identify customers, suppliers, competitors, and this helps business respond effectively. Hope we are still together. So we are saying can be done by identifying customers, suppliers, and competitors. And we are saying this helps business respond effectively. So this is going to help the business now to respond positively by identifying customers, suppliers, and competitors. This helps business to respond effectively. For example, good people, a retailer monitors suppliers to avoid stock shortages. So you have to identify suppliers, whether those suppliers are reliable, so that you are trying to avoid stock shortages. So that is that. Now let us move on. A competition is where business are selling products to similar or same customers in the same area. So competition occurs when business sells similar products to same customers. So it means that business compete for market share in the same geographical area. Get it straight. We are saying business compete for market share, in the same geographical area. In the same geographical area. So that is that. So, for example, two supermarkets in the same town selling similar groceries. So they are competing for the same market share. So, hope we are together returns. So now let us move on to the importance now or purpose of organizational culture. Importance or purpose of an organizational culture. Why is organizational culture important? This is our first aspect that we are given there in our essay. So here it is. This is our first aspect that we have to talk about, outline the importance of business organizational culture. So here we are with our answers on that aspect. So it says the purpose of an organizational culture is to define the business internal and external identity and core values So meaning what this means is that it clarifies what the business stands for, what the business stands for, what the business stand for. So that is that. This clarifies what the business stands for. For example, a company promotes honesty and transparency in all dealings of it. So this is what the company stands for. We'll be together on that. Also, the organizational culture, the importance and the purpose of this organizational culture is that a strong business culture has the power to turn employees into ambassadors of the business. Meaning to say, employees promote the business positively. So employees are going to promote the business positively. Employees promote business positive. So that is that. So that is when you turn the business into ambassadors. That is when you turn business employees into our ambassadors. So staff are going to recommend their company services to others. That is why we are saying a strong business culture turn employees into ambassadors. So it means the staff, the employees, now they are going to recommend their company's services or products to others. That is why we are saying now they are the ambassadors of the business. So moving on, also the importance of organizational structure is that it helps the business to retain employees and clients. So helps retain employees and clients. A positive culture builds loyalty. That is that. A positive culture builds loyalty. A positive culture builds loyalty. So that is that. Positive culture builds loyalty. So workers are going to stay longer due to a supportive work environment. So that is that. Also, it further on says the importance of organizational culture is that it breaks down boundaries between teams and guide decision making and improves productivity. So meaning to say the organizational culture encourages teamwork and cooperation. It encourages teamwork and cooperation. That's what it means. So the departments are going to collaborate on projects efficiently. So that is the importance of this organizational culture. It also includes the values and beliefs of the business and how it conducts its operations. So meaning to say, when we are saying it includes values and beliefs and how it conducts the operations, it simply says it directs how tasks are performed. We simply says it directs how tasks are performed. It directs how tasks are performed. How tasks are performed. So that is that. So a company committed to quality checks every product carefully. So that is what it means. Also, we are saying it defines business internal and external identity, including its product. So that's what we are saying. As we are saying, organizational culture defines business internal and external identity, including its conduct. That is that. Also, it promotes employee commitment and loyalty to the business. So, meaning to say, workers feel part of the organization. Workers are going to feel part of the organization. So, employees are going to really work overtime during busy hours or during busy periods. So, that's that. It helps business retain its employees and customers as it distinguishes one business from one another. Meaning to say, it distinguishes one business from another. It creates uniqueness in the market. That's what this point means. It creates uniqueness in the market. Hope you get this point. It provides guidelines to the decision making that intends to benefit business. Provides guidelines to decision making that intends to benefit the business. Meaning to say, it assists managers in making ethical choices. It assists managers in making ethical choices. It regulates how employers and employees conduct themselves during working hours. During working hours. So we are saying it regulates behavior at work. It regulates behavior at work. It sets standards for conduct. It sets standard for conduct. So that's that. It gives summary of expected behavior for newly appointed employees. So meaning to say, we are saying it guides new employees on expected behavior. So it helps them to adapt quickly. That is what we are saying. Wherever we can make an example of orientation programs explaining company values. So that is that. It clearly defines the entire business to all stakeholders. So meaning to say it builds trust with investors and customers. So that is that, good people. So let us move on to another aspect. Let us move on. So we are still on that importance of culture. As it says, an excellent business culture may attract investors to invest in the business. So they may attract what? Investors. So here we're talking about attracting of investors. Strong culture signals stability. So that is where we are saying investors are going to fund a business known for ethical practices. That is why we're saying a strong culture may attract investors. A good business culture that is followed by all employees may give business competitive advantage over competitors. Here we are talking about it creates competitive advantage. Strong culture improves performance, and that performance can give the business a competitive advantage. So that is that, good people. So another aspect that we have to talk about is the meaning of market environment. Meaning of market environment. So we were asked to elaborate on the meaning of market environment. So this is what you're going to be looking at now. So let's quickly go to the answers and discuss. So now we are on the meaning of market environment. So let us be there. The market environment refers to immediate external component that directly affect the ability of business to cooperate. For business to be successful, it must be able to influence the components of this environment. Meaning to say, this point means that it includes elements directly linked to business performance. We are saying it includes elements directly, linked to business performance. Business performance. So that is what it means. So, for example, changes in a customer demand affect sales. That is why I say it includes elements directly linked to business performance. So hope we are together on that. So the market environment is also known as the industry environment and is immediately outside through business environment. So it's also known as an industry environment. So it exists outside the business but close to it. So we are saying it exists outside the business but close to it. But close to it. So meaning to say, when you're talking about market environment, and as we are saying, it exists outside the business but close to it. So it is directly outside the business. It is external but directly outside the business. That is what we're saying, but close to it. So that is that. So for example, a restaurant operates within the food industry environment. That is what we're saying, it is close to it. Also, we say the market environment has a large impact on business operations because it includes customer drive sales in the business. So it has a large impact on operations because you know very well that customer demand drives revenue. We know very well that customer demand drives revenue. Drives revenue. Drives revenue. So that is that. So, for example, a high demand increases production levels. So that is that. So now it further on to say business do not have a direct controls on the market environment. So business has a limited control over it. That is what we are trying to say. Business has a limited control over it. Has a limited control over it. So all they can do is to influence, but they cannot have that full control on market environment. All they can do is to influence customers, is to negotiate with suppliers. So they can have what? An influence, but they have a limited control over market environment. So it also says it includes customers, competitors, intermediaries, and etc. as its components. So those are the components of market environment. Those are components of market environment. So these components influence performance. These components influence performance. So now let us go to another aspect that we're asked to talk about, which is the components of market environment. Components of what? Market environment. So this is that discuss 4 components of market environment. So that is that. So now let's quickly go to our answers. Components of market environment. So the first component is consumer. As it says, consumers or buyers are the final users of the product or services. So we are saying final users who purchase goods and services. For example, a customer buying clothing from a store. So he buys or she buys that clothing for wearing it. So they are final users. So that is that. Also, they are saying consumer who buys products or services from a business is that business customer. Is that business customer. That is that. Who buys products or services from a business is that business customer. So that is that. That is that. Consumers who buys products or services from a business. Those are the business customers. So that is that. Customers' preferences and taste does change as time goes by. So it is essential for business to conduct market research. to conduct what? Market research, to ensure that their target market changing needs are continuously met. So we are saying preference change over time. Business must do what? Must do a research. So we know that demand, where, for example, demand shifts from basic phones to smartphones. So you see, so you have to conduct a research so that you know that. You know the changes that are taking place. So now let us go to another component of market environment, suppliers. Component of market environment, suppliers. So here we are on suppliers. ETC suppliers provide raw materials, transport, and other services to business. So they provide raw materials and services. So, for example, a bakery buying flour from a supplier. So that is a raw material. A baker is buying a flour from a bakery from a supplier. So that is that. The resources that suppliers prove includes machinery, computer equipment, and packaging materials. So those are resources that suppliers prove. So they include that. So if suppliers fail to provide business with quality resources, or if suppliers do not deliver these resources on time at the right prices, then the business will not be able to meet the goals or objectives. So we're talking about late or poor quality supply affects operations. A delayed deliveries cause production stoppages. That's what we are trying to say. So now let us move on to another component, which is competitors. So we are on competitors. So we're going to talk about competitors. So with competitors, as I say, competitors refers to business that are selling similar product to same target market. So we're talking about business selling similar product to same target market. Two banks offering similar loan services. So they are competitors. So business do keep a close watch on their competitors in order to success in the business. So you are to know, you have to learn about, do research or on your competitors so as to help yourself as a business to succeed. Marketing, advertising can help to draw customers by offering discounts. So business monitors competitors to stay competitive. So you can do offering promotions to watch rival discounts. So that is that. So now let us move on to another one, regulator. Regulator. So with regulators are responsible for making laws that are going to be binding. Business operations. That are going to be binding business operations. So meaning to say authorities that create and enforce laws. That's what I'm talking about, regulators. A government enforcing labor laws. That is that. The laws are put in place to ensure that everyone has a free and fair trade. So ensure fair trade practices. So that is that. We can talk of where we're saying competition laws preventing monopolies. That is that. So the government also is known as a regulator as it makes laws. So that is that. So now let us move on to the unions now. So let us move on to unions. As it says, trade unions play a major role in controlling and defining fair labor practices. So it means that we know very well that unions represent employees' interest. So, you know, for example, they can negotiate salary increases and stuff like that. So they say they are responsible for helping employees during the time of negotiations for salaries, like I've said. Also, negotiations for better wages for their members, working conditions, and that their members work under. So those are the functions that are performed by trade unions. They promote fair working conditions. So that is when they demand safe working environments on behalf of their employees, on behalf of the employees. Let us be on intermediaries. Let us be on intermediaries. So as it says, intermediaries are also known as link between the business environments, namely micro and market. So link business and consumers. For example, transport companies delivering goods, they are intermediaries. Intermediaries often make it easier for consumers to access the goods that they need. So meaning to say, we are saying intermediaries improve access to products. Retailers selling manufacturers products. So that is how they can access those manufacturing products. The retailers are going to sell those products that were manufactured by the manufacturers or were produced by the manufacturers. Intermediaries include transport, telecommunication businesses. So that is that. So now let us move on to non-governmental organization. Non-governmental organization, NGOs. So they are saying refers to community-based organizations that are helping to address some of the socio-economic issues affecting the business. So that is that the community-based organizations are addressing social issues. They are addressing social issues. So for example, the non-governmental organizations supporting small business in poor communities. So that is that. So it forms part of marketing because they supply consumer goods and services. So the focus of the non-governmental organization is the welfare of the community, such as poverty and crime. So hope we are together on that. So let us move on to another aspect, which is now 5 reasons why competition poses challenge to business. So that is the aspect that now we are asked to discuss about. Reasons why competition poses challenges. So they are saying competitors may produce substitute goods or services that may result in decrease in demand of product or services, a product or service the business offers. So we're talking about substitute products reduce demand. That is true. Substitute product reduce demand. Substitute products reduce demand. Customers switch to alternatives. That is a challenge that you're going to face, whereby we are saying competitors may produce substitute goods or services that may result in decrease in demand. That is why we're saying substitute products reduce demand. For example, a tea reducing demand for coffee. So that is that. Competitors may take a larger share of target market, resulting in decrease in sales. That is a challenge that you may come across. Competitors attract more customers. So that's what you're trying to say. Competitors attract more customers. So here we're talking about the loss of market share. Loss of market share. Loss of market share. Because you're saying you may face a challenge whereby competitors take a larger share of target market. So that is going to result in a decrease in sales. Competitors who offer products at a cheaper price may force business to sell at loss. That is that. So they may force the business to sell at loss. We'll get together that. Business spend a lot of money on advertising, which takes away business profits. So they take a lot of money on marketing. So that will make a business. When we're talking about the high advertising costs, when we say business spend a lot of money on advertising, so we're talking about the high advertising costs. advertising cost. High advertising cost. Because this is going to reduce overall profit. Some employees may leave the business to work for competitors, which may result in a business information known by competitors. Because those employees, they're going to disclose this information to the business competitor. So that is that when you're talking about loss of skilled employees. Competitors may recruit experienced staff. So that is that. High demand of salaries may cause other employees to leave business. So here we're talking about high salary demand. We're talking about high salary demand. So high salary demands, we're talking about increases operational costs. So that is that. Because you will end up being forced to raise wages so that you can retain staff. So that is a challenge that a business may face because of the competition. Powerful competitors may have control over the market and make it tight barriers to entry. So here we're talking about the barriers to entry by strong competitors, whereby they're going to make it difficult to compete. Those are powerful competitors. Decreased profitability of the business and its market share they have built. So reduced profitability and market share. So we're talking about reduced profitability and market share. Intense rivalry affects growth. So that is that. So now we are to conclude our question 5. We are to give conclusion on our question 5. As it says on conclusion, organizational culture helps business to have a good profile that may attract customers and potential funders. Meaning to say, organizational culture builds a strong profile, meaning to say it attracts customers and investors. So it simply says this is going to attract customers and investors. It's going to attract customers and investors. So that's that. For example, ethical reputation increases investor confidence. That's what we're saying. Organizational culture of business to have a good profile that may attract customers and potential funders. So also it says failure analyze the meaning of market environment may result in business not able to compete with others or to lose profit. Failure to analyze market environments lead to losses. So we say failure to analyze market environment. Market environment leads to losses. It leads to losses. That is a failure to analyze a market environment. So that's that. Components of environments help the business to be able to understand the nature of challenges they face so that they can come up with strategies that influence positive results on the favor of the business. So here we are saying you are to understand components. So understanding the components is going to help develop strategies, meaning you are going to be able to be proactive in planning. That is that. Competition forces business to maximize its potential, and this benefits customers because that getting excellent service from business. So this means benefits customers through better services. When you're saying competition forces improvement. So that is that. So now let us go to a question 6 questions. So here we are on question 6 essay. So question 6 also, we are given this scenario passages. It talks about quality. It says quality is the ability of a product to meet specific need. Business needs to have specific systems in place so that it can ensure smooth production processes. They should be aware of quality indicator for administration and financial business functions. Management plays an important role in ensuring the success of the business. So now we are asked to write what? An essay. As it says, with the reference of the above statement, write an essay on the following aspects. The first aspect, we are to outline the importance of quality for businesses. The second one, we are to differentiate between quality control and quality assurance. And the third, we are to discuss quality indicators of the following business functions: administration function and financial function. And the last aspect, we are to advise business on the correlation between management and the success of business in achieving its objective strengths and weaknesses. So this is what we are asked to do. The answers now and discuss them together. So here we are on question 6 essay. This is our question 6 essay, business operations or concept of quality. So we are first going to start with introduction. As it says, quality benefit business in many ways, including ensuring total client satisfaction. So it means delivering products or services that meet standards, increase repeat purchases, and loyalty. So that is that. For example, a supermarket that sells fresh products daily retains loyal customers. So that is when you're talking about what? A total client satisfaction. So understanding the difference between quality control and quality assurance helps business to plan properly. So here we are talking about a clear distinction helps prevent defects and reduce costs. That is when we're talking about understanding the difference between quality control and quality assurance. So that is that. For example, a factory builds quality checks into each production stage instead of only inspecting a finished goods. So you see, that is how we can be able to understand the difference between quality control and quality assurance. With assurance, you are making sure that at every stage you are having the quality cycle people who are going to make sure that they are going to prevent the defects. So that is that. Quality indicators clearly define expected performance rules from departments in the business. So what it means is that they set measurable standards for each function. So that is that. It is advisable that business employ highly skilled managers so that success is guaranteed. So that success is guaranteed. So it means skilled managers make informed decisions and lead effectively. So a qualified operations manager reduces production delays. So that's that. So another aspect that we have to talk about is the importance of quality on business. Importance of quality on business. So the first one says effective customer service are rendered, resulting in increased customer satisfaction. So we are saying it improves customer satisfaction. So customers receive reliable products or services. So that is that. Time and resources are used efficiently. So we're talking about efficient use of time and resources. Less wastage lowers cost. Less wastage lowers cost. For example, a bakery measures ingredients correctly to avoid waste. That is why we're saying time and resources are used efficiently. Productivity increases through proper time management and using high quality resource. So you are talking about the increases productivity. So proper systems improve what the output. So that is the importance of quality on business. So now let us move on. Also, it further on say product or service are constantly improved, resulting in increased levels of customer satisfaction. So continuous product or service what improvement. So also it says vision or mission business goals may be achieved. So here about the achievement of business goals. Achievement of business goals. So high standard support strategic objective. Business has a competitive advantage over its competitors. So here we're talking about what? Competitive advantage. That's the importance of the of uh, of quality on business. We're talking about what? Competitive advantage. So quality differentiates what? The business. Regular training will continuously improve the quality of employee skills and knowledge. So that is when you give employees training regularly. So skilled workers perform efficiently. So if they are always or they are regularly trained, that will give us a good performance. Also, it further on says employers and employees will have a healthy working relationship, resulting in happy, productive workers. So here we're talking about healthy employer-employee relationship, meaning to say good working conditions improve morale. That is that. Increased market share or more customers improve profitability. So here more customers mean higher revenue. So that's that. Improve business image as there are less defects or returns. So that's the importance of quality. Like they're saying, it's going to improve business image. Fewer defects reduces returns. So that is that. So another aspect now. So another aspect is to differentiate between quality control and quality assurance. So now we're starting with quality control. As it says, the inspection of the final product to ensure that it meets required standards. So inspection is all on the final products, inspection of final product. It ensures product meets required standards. For example, checking finished shoes for defects before selling. That is that. Also, it includes setting targets or measuring performance and taking corrective measures. So it measures performance and corrects errors. For example, removing defective items from a production batch. That is that. Also checking raw materials or employees' machinery or workmanship or products to ensure that high standards are maintained. So here you check raw materials and workmanship so as to maintain high standard. So for example, testing a fabric quality before manufacturing commence. So that's that. Now let us come to quality assurance now. Quality assurance. So with quality assurance, it says it is carried out during and after the production processes to ensure that required standards have been met at every stage of the process. So like they say, it's carried out during production as to ensure standards are met at every stage. So for example, monitoring each steps in assembly, monitoring every step. So that is that. In assembling a car. So you are measuring every step in assembling a car. Also, it says it ensures that every process is aimed at getting a product right first time and prevents missed from happening again. So here we are saying you prevent mistakes from happening. You focus on doing it right the first time. So that's when you train employees properly before production begins. The building in of quality as opposed to checking for quality. So it means quality is integrated, not just inspected. So that is that. So now let us move on for people. So now we are on quality indicator for administration and financial function. That is aspect that we are asked to talk about. So we are first going to start with administration function. We are first going to start with administration function. So that is that. Fast and reliable data capturing and processing systems. So it ensures accurate records, ensures accurate records, ensures accurate records. So that is that. For example, using computerized payroll systems. Also make reliable information available to management on time. So here we're talking about timely information to management. This supports decision making. This is going to support a decision making. So also it says, make relevant information available for quick decision making. So we're talking about where we are making sure that the relevant information is available so that managers can make a decision quickly without wasting time. So hope we are together on that. Handle complaints quickly and effectively so it maintains customer satisfaction. So if there are complaints, they make sure that they deal with those complaints quickly. Use modern technology efficiently. So it means we are going to be able to improve performance if you're going to use what? A modern technology. So that. Implement effective risk management policies to minimize business losses. Quality assurance, quality control, evaluation, as well as this recorded accurately. So here we're talking about accurate record. We're talking about effective risk management policies where we are trying to reduce what losses. Also, it talks about all documentation is kept neatly and orderly in a safe place. So we're talking about accurate record keeping, which is going to ensure compliance. This is where you can keep employees' contracts safely filed. So that is where we are saying this is going to help in easy to recall or find information or documentation. So financial documents are kept up to date and recorded accurately. So all systems and processes are documented. So that is that. So now let us attend to financial function. So let us attend to financial function. As it says, obtain capitals from most suitable, available, reliable sources. So here we're talking about obtaining capital from reliable sources ensures financial. That is going to ensure financial stability. That is, for example, securing a bank loan with reasonable interest. So that is that. Now negotiate better interest rates in order to keep financial costs down. So here you try to reduce what financial costs. So that is how you're going to put them down. So let us move on as it says, and draw up budgets to ensure sufficient application of monetary resources. So here you draw up what budgets, you control spending by drawing what? By drawing the budget. Keep financial records up to date to ensure timely, accurate tax payments. So here you keep financial records up to date. You ensure correct tax payments. You ensure correct tax payments. Analyze strategies to increase profitability. This is when you are trying by all means to improve returns. You analyze strategies to increase profitability. So that is that, good people. Now let us move on. Moving on, it says invest surplus funds to create source of passive income. So that is that. Also implement financial control measure systems to prevent fraud. So you protect assets by so doing. So that is that. We can do that, for example, by separating duties between cashier and accountant. So also implement credit granting or debt collecting policy to monitor cash flow, update financial statements timely and regularly, accurately analyze and interpret financial information, invest strategies that will assist the business to remain profitability. Try to avoid over and under capitalization so that the financial resources will be utilized effectively. So that is that. So now let us come to the last aspect where we are asked to correlate, where it says correlation between management and the success of business in achieving its objective strengths and weakness. So that is that. It says poor management can result in effective employees and loss in productivity. So it means that ineffective leadership lowers performance. It shows that ineffective management reduces productivity. So that is that. So for example, lack of supervision leads to missed deadlines. So that is going to affect our production. Experience is necessary in order to make the right decisions. Education leads to higher quality of performance. So meaning to say, experienced managers avoid costly mistakes. We are saying experienced managers avoid costly mistake. Avoid costly mistakes. So that's that. For example, choosing the right supplier based on past knowledge. So that will avoid the mistakes. Quality decisions and performance contribute to the achievement of business objectives. So we're talking about quality decisions. Quality decisions and performance contribute to achievement of business objectives. Also, quality management practice will ensure good management result. So we're talking about quality management. So that is that. All these success factors enhance strengths of the business. So that is that. So now let us go to conclusion now. So now let us conclude. So let us try to conclude. So as it says, producing products may lead to minimum competition since most customers prefer quality products and service. So we are saying quality reduces competition impact. Customers prefer reliable products. Businesses are expected to successfully implement quality control and quality assurance process so that producing quality product and service is sustained. So you are to implement QC as well as quality assurance. Quality control and quality assurance sustains quality. So that is continuous monitoring that is going to maintain standard. Successful performance of administration and financial functions may contribute to the success of the business. So that is that. This is when you're talking about effective administration and finance support success. That is when you're talking about strong support functions improve operations. Strengths and weakness of the business must be analyzed effectively by management so that the business can capitalize on focusing on its strengths to overcome its weakness. So management must analyze strengths and weaknesses. This is going to help improve performance. So this is the end of this presentation. So good people, please make sure that you share with others. And please make sure that you're going to use this presentation for you guys to prepare for your term one. Thank you very much.